All right, let's dive into something that might sound a little complex, but trust me, it's the absolute bedrock of a fair stock market. We're talking about the SEBI listing obligations and disclosure requirements. It's a mouthful, I know, so we'll just call it LODR. Think of it as the official rulebook for every single company you can invest in.
I mean, really think about it. When you invest, you're handing over your hard-earned money. So what's to stop the people in charge from just running wild with it? What keeps them honest and acting in your best interest? Well, that's exactly what these regulations are for.
So, back in 2015, India's market regulator, SEBI, created this master rulebook. And its purpose really boils down to three huge things: making sure companies are transparent, holding them accountable for their decisions, and, maybe most importantly, protecting investors like you and me. To really get how this all works, we've got to start at the very top, the board of directors. This is the group making all the big decisions, and SEBI has some very, very specific rules about who can even get a seat in that room. See, the regulations demand a very particular mix. At least half the board has to be made up of non-executive directors, people who aren't involved in the day-to-day grind. Then, at least a third have to be totally independent, with zero ties to the company's founders. This is so important for challenging management and preventing groupthink. Oh, and there must be at least one woman director. This isn't just about ticking boxes. It's a strategy to ensure diverse, outside perspectives are always part of the conversation. And it's not like the board can just meet up for coffee whenever they feel like it. No way. They are required to meet at least 4 times a year. That's once a quarter, every quarter, no excuses. They have to get together to stay on top of the company's business. And to keep that momentum going, the rules say there can't be more than a 120-day gap between those meetings. This ensures there's continuous oversight and that major issues don't get ignored for months at a time. You ever hear about someone being on too many boards? Well, SEBI has a rule for that. A director can serve on a maximum of 7 listed company boards at one time. And why is that? It's pretty simple, really. You can't be a dedicated, focused director if you're spread way too thin. This rule makes sure they have the bandwidth to actually do their job right for each company. Now, a full board can't be an expert in absolutely everything. It's just not possible. That's why the LODR regulations require them to set up smaller, specialized committees. You can think of these as the expert squads that handle the really critical, deep dive stuff. And here are the 4 mandatory powerhouses. First, you've got the audit committee. They're the money police, making sure all the financial reports are accurate. Then there's the NRC, which handles all things people, like executive pay and top-level appointments. The stakeholders committee, they're the investor's champion, dealing with any grievances. And finally, the risk management committee, which is basically the company's lookout tower, scanning the horizon for potential threats. Okay, now this is a really crucial point. For companies on the stock market, the rules for the audit committee are way tougher than the general corporate law. SEBI demands that 2/3 of the members have to be independent, not just a simple majority. And get this, all of them have to be financially literate, with at least one certified expert on the team. It just shows how high a premium SEBI places on financial integrity when the public's money is on the line. So, we've covered the whole internal structure. Now, let's shift gears and look at how these companies have to communicate with the outside world. This is the disclosure part of LODR, and it's all about transparency. Companies can't just release information whenever they feel like it. They are on a very strict, non-negotiable clock. Within 21 days of a quarter ending, boom, they have to file data on investor complaints and shareholding. By day 45, the quarterly results are out for everyone to see. And for the big one, the full annual audited results, they get 60 days after the financial year ends. This creates a predictable rhythm of information that the market can rely on. And what about the really big market-moving announcements? Well, the rules have a very strict no surprises policy. For huge decisions like declaring a dividend or raising a ton of money, the company has to give the stock exchange at least 2 working days' notice before the board even meets to vote on it. This prevents sudden shocks and helps give everyone a level playing field. So let's zoom out and connect all the dots. Why should you care about any of this? The board composition, the reporting deadlines. Because all these rules are the invisible architecture that connects the decisions made in a boardroom directly to the value of the shares sitting in your account. At the end of the day, these regulations are so much more than just red tape. They are the very foundation of trust in our market. The rules on who's in charge, how often they meet, and what they have to tell us,
All of it creates a predictable, reliable environment, and that is what gives millions of investors the confidence to participate. And to make sure someone is actually watching the watchers, the regulations require every listed company to appoint a compliance officer. This person's entire job is to ensure all these rules are followed, not just technically, but in letter and spirit. It puts a real human face on accountability.
And that leaves us with one final thought to chew on. These rules were written for a specific time, but business today moves at the speed of light. It's digital, it's global. So what's next? As our markets get more complex, what new challenges to fairness and transparency will we face? And what kind of rulebook will the markets of the future really need?